Scandal have their first new single out since winning that Guinness World Record for the longest ever female band to be running with the same continuous lineup and no hiatuses. It was a very long title for an award, but it was still extremely impressive, a worldwide award that they won. And that brings us on to this new single, because let's face it, after you've been around for 17 years with the same lineup, well, how do you remain fresh and interesting whilst also pleasing your core fan base? This has always been at the core of what makes Scandal so great. So we're going to break down how they managed to achieve that with this new song and go through some of the details. Roll the intro. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where let's start by talking about what this song is structurally so we can really understand why it works. I mean, you could basically whittle it down if you wanted to saying, well, it's your typical sort of Scandal song that they've built their reputation on. It's got rock and roll sort of style chord patterns in it. It's got a nice focus on melody. Yeah, those things are all true, and it is very much playing from the handbook of things that have made Scandal songs so good and so easy to listen to in previous years. But this also has some of its own little tricks to set it apart. I mean, let's face it, when you've been around for 17 years and you've got so many songs, you need to be good at giving your songs individual identity so it doesn't feel like you're just completely sticking to a formula and repeating yourself. And, you know, Scandal have been brilliant at staying fresh sounding throughout the duration of their career. So when we look at this song, two things for me really set it apart. First of all, really is the sound. Now sonically, I would say this song is most reminiscent of perhaps Pinhill Surfer in that it uses a lot of those sounds that for me almost feel like they belong in like I want to say a late 60s, early 70s kind of TV show soundtrack where you're imagining things happening in a really sort of cool American setting. You know, you got a lot of electric keyboards going on in there, you know, electric piano sort of sounds and strings and things, and it all sounds very much like a summer's day. I think they really sort of played to those little backing sounds in there beautifully. And a lot of people I know, you get a lot of purists who they want their bands to have every song only played with the members of the band, and I do get that, but when you're a band like Scandal who've proven how many great songs you can do with just bass, guitar, drums and vocals, I don't think there's anything wrong with writing for extra instrumentalists, you know, writing arrangements slightly bigger than your band. I think once you've proven yourself, you're kind of in a safe space where you can do that. And again, you know, they've got 4 members, but there are bigger bands. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with them writing extra sounds. And if anything, if you can do it effectively like this and give your sounds, you know, your song a little bit of a sonic identity through that, and one that definitely feels appropriate for the actual song, brilliant. Now, I don't know how much of those sort of strings and keyboard bits were written by the band and how much were written, say, by a producer or an arranger. However, I can't help but feel this is something that Scandal very much had their hand in, because it just, all those extra elements go so beautifully with the song and they give it this kind of sort of wistful, jazzy feeling. And talking of a jazziness, we really should go on to talking about something else that this song does really well, which is its little changes, its nuances. Because those little nuances, those little clever bits of writing that stop the song becoming repetitive, you know, that keep each verse feeling fresh and original and like it's going through its own little changes, it's got its little bridges and pre-choruses everywhere, rather than just being sort of stock verse, stock chorus, stock verse, stock chorus. All those little changes add a lot to this song. Now, I think it's fair to say there are a lot of contemporary bands right now coming out in Japan who are doing that kind of low distortion, high focus on melody kind of songs. It seems to be something that a lot of new bands are doing straight out the doors, and it seems to be a quick way of getting yourself popular and having big hit singles domestically. Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a thing. So when you hear a band like this doing a song like this, which is in that sort of MOR, middle of the road, easy access rock kind of territory, you know, it's nice to hear them doing things that are more than just delivering a catchy chorus. This song does have a catchy chorus, but it gets there in interesting ways. I mean, as I mentioned, the pre-chorus itself, really nice how that sort of shifts things up. You know, the chord patterns, you know, the length of the chord pattern seems like such an obvious thing, but in the verses you have much slower chord changes and that speeds up. You have changes to the vocal delivery speed. In the second verse is a quick bit, which I saw in the premiere. Someone in the chat was referring to it as a rap bit. I don't think it was quite rap, but yes, certainly the vocal speed sped up. There was all these little changes where you could sit through and you could just list them. The song felt like it was constantly kinetic. It was constantly going through little adaptations to keep itself fresh. And this every time led you back round to a pretty catchy chorus. But what this, the best way of really sort of summing up how effectively that worked is in saying that all of these changes, the song, well, it feels effortless. Ever since it came out a couple of hours ago now, I have been playing it just kind of on repeat play, listening to it while I was setting up the cameras and everything, just listening to it over and over again. And it just kind of shocked me how there's so much to get your ears into, so much to really sort of pull out the song, so much to hear in the song, and yet it could just sort of glide by feeling effortless. And that for me is a demonstration of a band who know how to really inject class into their songs. And this comes back to the original point. And that original point really is, this is what experience buys you. This is what having 4 musicians who not only are very, very good, I mean, they've really come a long way, they're very talented musicians, but on top of that, they know how to work together. You know, they know how to craft something together. They know how to just, you know, work as a unit. This is what experience gets you. And this is also, as well as being the result of all that time working together, I think this is also one of the reasons why they've lasted so long, is the fact that they work as a team. There's no one sort of standing up front saying, okay, I'm going to bust out a 17-minute guitar solo now. I mean, Mamie has her great guitar bits, but every single time she does a guitar line or a guitar solo, it feels at surface of the greater whole arrangement. The vocal lines, you know, there's some brilliant, like I say, catchiness to the chorus, but it always feels like it's all in service of the larger arrangement. This is something where it feels very complete. And that for me is something where it's often a very clear defining difference between experienced high quality bands and new bands who are still trying to find their feet. Is when you listen to a song and it just feels everything's rounded. It feels like, it doesn't feel like something that needs more time. It feels like something where the time was taken, the experience was used, and a complete product was produced. So I really liked it. I will just add, as I often talk about the videos, I'm kind of glad video was pretty good. Video was quite simple, but actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. When they did the initial teaser, it was just this thing of them with like a grey background and sitting around in suits on chairs with blindfolds. I was like, oh God, please don't let this be one of those art school project looking videos where it's really lame and lots of symbolism that doesn't work. There was a little bit of sort of that kind of thing in here, but it was, you know, it was all kind of tasteful. It all worked with the feeling of the song. It didn't feel like the pretentious crap that I was worried it was going to be when I saw the initial teaser. I was really concerned about it, but no, it turned out to be really good. Worked well with the song. So yeah, anything I might have said about the video before, that it wasn't like a life-changing video, but it worked. It was well cut. It was nicely filmed, and the band actually looked like they were enjoying playing the song. Again, I was worried it was going to be one of those art house videos where no one's allowed to show an expression. Also, it was really cool to see the band were in the chat during the premiere, as Scandal often are. And Tomori was joking about getting soaked in the video. And also, you know, Rena was mentioning that apparently she and I think a friend or a florist, you know, helped to do the flower arrangements, which was really cool. Yeah, it was just really nice. It felt like a really friendly premiere, really good video. It was just a good launch all round. So in conclusion, I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes up with the new album. Now, I have predicted, and someone's going to tell me that this has already been announced and I missed it somehow. I've predicted that this is probably going to lead up to a new album coming out maybe in February, something similar to what Kiss from the Darkness was. You know, we had a similar sort of timeline for that from what I think we're leading up to here. But I don't know. Either way, I'm suspecting this is one of the first few songs we're hearing of a new album that will come at some point. And I'm really excited for it. I think Scandal have done an amazing job keeping their careers so fresh. Mirror was one of those albums that kind of separated some people. You know, I've already made my comments and my feelings are clear on all of these. I think all of their albums have interesting and different qualities. So when it comes to this new album, I'm just hoping whether it be something like Mirror, which is a little bit more out there, or if they return a bit more to center, I'm just really excited to see what they bring. Their variation is always one of the things that keeps them so interesting because they're reliable. You know, they give us variation, but at the same time, you know that it's always going to have that Scandal level of quality. And this song just goes to prove that. So those are my thoughts. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think. And until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, thanks, Scandal. Ciao, ciao.